Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, all, and welcome back to the third session of the day. Our next speaker of the
Ma'am, your
day
video is off.
is, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Our next speaker of the day is Professor Dr. Gautam Borkar. Currently, Dr. Gautam is working as an associate professor in Department of Information Technology of Ramrao Adi Institute of Technology, Navi Mumbai. He has overall 19 years of teaching experience. He has authored 2 international books in the field of science and technology. Dr. Borkar has several papers to his credit published in reputed international journals like ACM, Science Direct, Elsewhere, Taylor and Francis, etc. Dr. Borkar is CCNA, Cisco DevNet, Red Hat, and D-Link certified professional. He has also delivered expert talks in reputed engineering colleges throughout Maharashtra. He has also conducted several faculty development programs on network and system security on Linux and other open source tools. He has also organized several workshops for students on cloud and mobile computing across Maharashtra. We welcome you, sir. And with this,
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
would
Thank you, ma'am.
request Dr. Gautam Borkar to please begin with the stage session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so good afternoon, all. And on the behalf of Father Angle Bandra, I would like to welcome you for this FDP on Essentials of Linux System Administrator. Okay, so as we know that we are going for a is my screen visible, ma'am? Please help me.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Sir.
Okay, so as we know that we are going for a Linux administrator. Okay, so I am very much happy that organizing are still thinking of to go with the Linux in this cloud era. So I'm thankful to them. Okay, so before starting Linux, I would like to ask someone one very what introductory questions, and I don't think that you should if I ask you the difference between what is the Linux and difference between Windows and Linux, so please don't tell me that it is secured, it is open source. Apart from this, if you like to answer, then you can answer it. What is the difference between Linux and Windows? Apart from it is secured and it's open source, I know that everybody is well aware of this things. Apart from this, can you answer it? Can anybody be answers this thing? I'm not here to just like a student teacher over here. Okay, I know that everybody is a teacher, so please be interactive, as we always keep on saying. Okay, so if anybody wants to come up, a difference between actual Linux and Windows or any open source, why it is called as open source? Don't tell the source code is available, but what makes it more popular as compared to Windows? Okay, okay, fine. I know that you are. So you can chat me. Okay, the basic answer for this question is that on Linux, it's a file system. It's a file system operating system. Okay, excuse me with my. It's a file system organization. Okay, because of this thing, and it is in the clear text format. So because of this, Linux is much more popular. We have a source code, means we can edit that source code and we can compile it at any moment of time. Whereas in Windows, we cannot find, because every files are in the executable or might be in the DLL form. Okay, so this is the basic thing that what people can do. So it is much more clear text format. Okay, so this is the first thing that I would like to tell, and after that, definitely we'll move to the content that what we are going to learn over here. The first content that I'm going to take you is run levels. What are the run levels? First, we'll discuss about all the run levels that what we have. I know that many people might be aware of this run level, but you know, friends, we are talking about Ubuntu as an operating system. I'm not talking about RHEL or Red Hat or CentOS. Okay, we are talking about a Ubuntu as a platform for today's discussion. So there are many difference between the Ubuntu and Red Hat as far as the file organization is considered. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so we know that when we talk about a run level, everybody is well aware that if I want to go for run levels, so we have init command to change the run level. We write 6, either 0 or 3 or 5 when we are talking about the previous versions of Red Hat. Okay, so in Ubuntu, what had happened? This init has been replaced by systemd. Okay, so nowadays systemd is used instead of init. And obviously the back compatibility is always there. If somebody is not familiar with systemd, they can use init. So we'll go and demonstrate each and everything. Okay, so this is the thing that is being changed as far as the run level is considered. And we know that in Unix on a Red Hat, we have init file. If those who are familiar, they have an init file. Okay, in this init file, all the entries of run level was mentioned. Okay, but here instead of this run level, we have some different files and different file organization. So we'll go and see in detail of each and everything. Okay, so going to the run levels, as I said, we have run level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so these were the run levels that we were having earlier. Okay, so now also we have the same run levels, but in a different form. Okay, as I said, that init has been converted to systemd, and systemd has a, rather than having a run level, they has a target. Is a target. Okay, so the functionality is remain same. Run level 0 is for power off, run level 6 is for restart. So but it is only the concept of this target was introduced in the systemd. Is the systemd is a one kind of daemon. It is used target terms for the run level. Okay, instead of run level, we will be using now a target over here. Okay, so the target that what was there for 0, that is a shutdown. It is a power off dot target. Okay, for 1, yes, we know that for 1, when we are talking about a Red Hat, when it was init tab before Red Hat 5 and 6, in the init tab file, run level 1 was for a single user mode. Okay, as well as it is also called as a rescue mode. So here in this target, when the systemd was considered component was used, we named it as a rescue. Pardon with my handwriting, a rescue target. Okay, this is a run level number 1. Okay, so this only the things that we change, that it is power target. Then for run level 1, it is a rescue. Okay, so we know that when we talk about the init, the run level 2 was for multitasking without network. Okay, and run level 3 was multitasking with network. 4 was unused. Okay, so here in this Ubuntu or in Red Hat 8 also, this three thing is merged together to call as a multi user dot target. Okay, I know that everybody might be knowing what is the fifth. Okay, we all are working on this fifth. Everybody, whenever we talk, we always talk about this particular mode. It is a graphical target. That is a graphical mode for operating system. And sixth is a reboot. Reboot.target. Okay, so these are the run levels that are defined in this Ubuntu. Might be after 16, they had converted this into target. Okay, so these are the run levels that what we will discuss. Okay, so by default we can set any run level. So by default, if I on my operating system, it will go in a graphical mode. Okay, and then we can convert. Then we can convert that into the multi-user mode also when required, or we can restart the machine, or we can power off the machine. So let us move to the Windows. I hope that this thing is clear. Okay, so yes, I got a lot of answers on the chat. Yeah, Linux administrator is done almost through command line. Fine. Okay, but I don't think anybody had answered that part. Is a text oriented. That means in the clear text format. We can edit the text at any moment of it. Okay, so let me share my another screen.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, ma'am.
Porkar sir,
Yeah.
you can ask questions. Participants are answering in a chat box. So you
Yeah,
can
I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so so going to the live demonstration of this Ubuntu, we will. I have 18.2 Ubuntu version. Recently 20 is also available. Okay, so going with it. Okay, so it is logged in. I had already logged in, and when you logged in, you might be getting this particular window. So, and it will be, if I open the terminal, I will be logged in into the, I will be entered into the terminal of a user. Okay, so if the people are aware, then we can directly go on the terminal. Okay, so this is the where from where we can start. Okay, so it's not only that Ubuntu supports only 5 run levels, but these are the generalized 5 run levels. We can have many run levels that was introduced in this Ubuntu. Okay, because the people were talking about many run levels, so the unused run level that was 4, they had modified it and they are used it for the their own purposes. Okay, so that's why it is very much popular. We can edit our own code, we can compile it, and we can execute as per my requirement. Okay, so all the scenario that what we can see nowadays, we are talking about a cloud, we are talking about many other platforms, and believe me, entire platform is on the this on the kernel of Red Hat. Okay, which was open source. Entire, even if you talk about a VMware that right now, which I'm going for this VMware EXXi2 server, entire servers are on Linux platform, or they might be using a Linux kernel. Okay, so let us see what are the commands to see the different kind of run levels. I think my screen is visible properly and the fonts is proper, right? Please help me. Or should I zoom it?
No, sir, it is visible and proper.
Okay, fine, thank you. Okay,
Yes.
so as I said, that system, this init D or init function was converted into system D, but it is still available. As I said, it is backward compatibility. Okay, so still this init is available. Okay, I can see this command. Okay, so let us first see on which run level I am right now. So I can type run level command, and I can see the run level that is appearing, it is 5th. Okay, so 5th means is a graphical user mode. Yes, we are in the graphical user mode. So if I go to the console window and if I type the run level over there, if I go to the I don't know why I'm not going to the terminal. Yeah. So if I logged in over here, and if I type a run level, okay, so you can see we are in the graphical user mode, but the actual default run level is 5. Though I'm on the console window, it's not like this that if I'm on this black and white screen, the run level is changed. So presently we are logged in into the run level 5. Okay, that is the graphical user mode. Okay, so now let us see what are the other ways, or how could we see the all the run levels that are present. As I only mentioned 5 run levels. Okay, but they are not limited to 5 run levels. So there are many run levels. We can go with this particular command, systemctl list minus units minus type equals to target. Just a minute. Just hold. Okay, so this is the command to see all the run levels that are present for us. Okay, so all, and then we'll concatenate it to the, so that we can see it on the cat on the monitor. Okay, so these are the different run levels that we can see. If you minimize it, okay, so here the screen is a bit smaller, that's why we are not able to see it. But if you see that this is the unit, what is loaded and which are the active, okay, and what is the description for all. So we can find out there are lot many targets that which I discussed apart from that. So we have a graphical target, okay, which I had discussed multi-user target, okay, network online target. Okay, so these are the many other targets that this Ubuntu also supports, not only these 5 run levels. Okay, so with the help of this, you can find out what are the run levels that are supported by the Ubuntu. So in order to list all these run levels or all these target, we can write this particular command. So the name of the command is systemctl list minus unit dash type equals to target, and all target we are counting on the monitor. So that's why we are able to see this. Okay, is it clear? Okay, so now this is the way to find out what are the list of all the run levels. So now suppose if I want to switch from one level to another level, can I do that? Yes, definitely we can do that. Okay, so before going to that, let us check what is the my current run level. Okay, that means a target. So in order to see this target, I have to write the same command, systemctl get a default, get the default. So systemctl get it's a dash, not dot. So if I go with this command, I will get what is my current target. That is what is my default. Okay, so default is set to graphical target. Okay, so now can we change this target? I don't want to go in and enter into the graphical mode always. I want multi-user mode also. Whenever my system get logged in, I should not enter into the GUI, because you know that when we go for a GUI, a lot of RAM is consumed. So most of the Linux administrator, they will never work on the GUI. They always go with the command line. It is very much friendly. Okay, not friendly, but the things can be operated very fastly. Okay, so can I switch it? Yes, definitely you can go. So the command to switch from one mode to another, if I type sudo systemctl this is a syntax. Okay, isolate to multi you can see that you can get the system multi-user target. Okay, so if I enter it, I will be going through the console mode. Okay, so this is how we go to the console mode, right? It will take certain time. So as we know that when it's a multi-user mode, it is without a GUI. Without GUI means entire thing will be on the console mode. That means on the command line we will be able to work it out. Okay, so this is the way to convert from GUI to the console mode. Okay, previously we used to call the console mode. Right now it is a target. Okay, it's a multi-user target. Okay, so I think it will be stuck here for a certain time. So before going, I will be switching to the another operating system. Okay, so once it comes, then we can. Okay, so this is the way to switch from one mode to the another mode, right? So, but this is as I said, it is a clear text format. Okay, so whatever the thing that I'm doing, it is always on the command line. So can I change the run levels? So if anybody wants to create a virus, okay, if it sets the default run level to 0, okay, if it sets the default run level or default target to 6, what will happen? You can chat it. Okay, if somebody is setting a default target to 6, what will happen? As soon as the system get booted, it will be system boot hone ke baad it will go to the restart mode. That means it will be in a loop. Okay, sometimes anytime in the Windows we had observed this kind of scenario that by default it keeps on restarting the machine. So the answer for this is in that particular file, in the target file, wherever my default targets it set, it is set to reboot. Okay, so the file system that we can have, I just want to restart it again. Okay. So file system that is available over here, we can see which are the files that are responsible for getting the this in the clear text format. So the default target we can have. So as I said, that systemctl is a command. Systemctl is a command to verify the default target. Okay, so there might be a file that is responsible for giving this output. Okay, so we can, the file which is responsible for getting this output is, it is in the etc systemd system. Okay, and here we can find out a default file, that is a default target.wants. Okay, so in this file we have a default file. Okay, so once if I open this file, you can see that a file is set over here. Okay, so you can see what is I wanted. Okay, by default by default, it is a default dot target. This is wanted by the operating system when it is booted. Okay, so this is the file that has been verified. This is the file that has been verified for going which kind of console or which kind of run level you are interested in. So if I write a multi-user over here, it will be going over there. But right now I don't will not perform the practical on that. But because if I go and execute, if anything goes wrong, then our entire system will work. Entire system will not be able to work on that particular system. Okay, so if you want, I can tell you, I can guide you what you should do in order to change the default run levels. Okay, so if you want to change the default run level, this is the command that you have to execute. Okay, so by default, if I see the particular directory that what we have, system D, and in that system we have a system. Okay, so here you can see all the files that what we had discussed. Okay, suppose if I have the this multi-user target, I have the file for that. If I want to go for a graphical user mode, I have the file for that. And if I want another modes, that if I say power off and all these things, so we can find out that run levels also over here. Okay, so in order to go for that particular run levels, we have a rescue mode also over here. You can find out a rescue mode. Okay, so suppose if I want to change, okay, so don't implement. If you are anybody sitting on the machine, you can just do one thing. I will just write the command, and so that you can perform at your end. Okay. Okay, right now I'm going live, so I don't want to waste my time. Just to, if anything goes wrong, to set up all these things. Okay, so remove first the particular file, that a default file. Okay, so default file is /etc systemd, and that in system we have a default file dot wants. Okay, a default dot target. So if I remove this file, I'm putting a command in front of that command. This command will not be executed. So you can note down this command if you want to do it yourself. Okay, so I hope that we are going slowly and you are able to understand the concepts. Okay, because you know that it's an online concept, so I'm not able to understand whether I'm going faster or whether you are able to understand it or not. If you are having any doubts, so please put in the chat. Okay, so I can go through the chat at any moment of time. Okay, I hope that everything is going fine. Okay. Okay. So
Yes, sir. Yes.
okay, so this is the way in order to change the default targets. Okay, so first we'll remove the default target. I press enter, so it means that the default run level that what we are talking about, it's a graphical user mode, it will be removed. Okay, so now which run level I want to target, which run level I want to use, you just create a soft link. Okay, we know that how to create a soft link. So ln -s, and all the files for the targets are in the particular library. So systemd, system, and here you can find out all your run level that what we want. Okay, so my target is what? I want to convert the graphical user mode to the multi-user mode. That means when my system gets booted, whenever my system gets booted, it will directly go, rather than bringing the graphical user mode, it will only show me the console mode. Okay, so first remove the default file, default.target, which is located in /etc systemd and system. I hope that this hierarchy is in the previous lecture. One of the expert might have gone with the what is the hierarchy of a file system of this Linux. Okay, or might be of Ubuntu. So library file is there. In that library file, we can find out this multi-user target. Okay, so just go and click multi-user target. Okay, and link it with the original default dot target. Okay, so we know that it is located in the default.targets. If you link with this particular file, what will happen? Next time, whenever the kernel gets booted or when the system gets booted, instead of referring graphical dot target wala file, it will refer multi user dot target wala file. Okay, so by default we can change it. Okay, now suppose if somebody goes to the and somebody changes rescue over here, and instead of this multi-user mode, he goes for a rescue. Okay, or reboot dot target. What will happen? Okay, instead of this multi-user mode, if somebody creates a virus and he finds its that system should get a reboot every time. So you just have to do this small command, and your system will get rebooted automatically. Will never enter into the it will never enter into your graphical user mode or multi-user. You will not be able to do any kind of. The system will, as soon as it gets started, the run level what he will be getting, he will be getting the run level of reboot. Reboot means to restart the machine. And if somebody writes the power off, then this is. So this is the best way to create one of the things. So if you face such kind of issues, what will you do? Many times you may also face the issues. It's very easy. Go to the rescue mode. Okay, go to the rescue mode and just relink that default.target file to graphical user mode. So if I do this, if somebody has done that, so just go to the graphical.target. So this is the best way to troubleshoot your system if you find any kind of issues. And this, believe me, this is the first process that is initiated on your kernel. No, we were knowing that ID of init. If I want to find out the ID of init, yes, does anybody remembers what is the ID of init? So PS minus EL. I don't know whether it will be there or not. So if I go for PS minus EL, so you can find out if the init is there. The ID for init is 0 or 1. So it is a parent of all the processes. Okay. So as I said, init has been. So yeah, so init has been changed to systemd. Okay. So all the IDs or parent of the system ID is first. So this is the parent ID. Okay. So everybody will go with this. Okay. The parent ID is 0. So this is the first process that has been initiated when any kernel gets booted. Okay. This is the systemd. So instead of init, the systemd is working over here. Is it clear? Okay. So this is all about the run level. I don't think we should go much. If you want to explore this, there are many things to explore. Okay. So this is the thing that what you have to talk about a run level. Okay. So if there is any questions which I can take on the chat so that I can move to the other topic. So if any things are there, then we can discuss. Okay. As far as this run level is concerned, because we have to cover near about, yeah.
No, sir. Till now, no question is there.
Okay.
In the chat.
Okay, fine. So I'm worried whether I'm going in the right direction or not because I'm not able to see anybody. Okay. 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 So next thing that what we are going to see is the IP. Okay. How to set up the IPs and how to go with it. Okay. So we'll also in this particular practical, I will be setting you how to. I will be explaining how to set the IPs directly in the GUI mode. Okay. And then we can also with the GUI, then with the command line and above command line, as I said, it's a file organization. So we can also edit the files. Okay. So before this, before Red Hat 6 or before Red Hat 7, so entire thing was on the shell script. Okay. Entire thing was on the shell script that we used to write a script and then it was executing. But right now the concept has been changed. So we are working on YAML. The language that is used to write on the script is YAML. Okay. So I will just brief you how the YAML files are working rather than going to this detail. So YML are used for in order to configure the files. Okay. Before this, you might have seen the shell script that are be running. We write with a dot slash and then we write a shell script name along with the dot sh. Okay. So right now, instead of dot sh, we have an extension called YML. Okay. So I will just brief you how this YML works. Okay. So this is the changes that happened in this Ubuntu 18 and on after 7. Actually, I am familiar with Red Hat. Okay, so after Red Hat 7, entire concept was changed to YML. Okay, so first, if I want to set the IP, if before setting the IP, let us check my Linux is my internet is working on this machine or not. So just to verify, I will just ping it google.com. Okay. So if I get an output, if I'm getting IP addresses properly, it means that I have a internet on my this particular machine. Okay, so if I have a IP on my machine, okay, what would be that IP? Okay, and what is the interface? Okay, because we know that without any interface, I cannot have a network card. Or without interface means if I want to have internet on my machine, I should first verify what are the network cards that are available with, and what is the name of that, what is the logical name of that particular device. Okay, though we have Ethernet, okay, as you know that I am working on the virtual concept. Okay, on the background you can see it is a Windows. Okay, on the background you can see it is a Windows platform. On that I had installed a Ubuntu, that is a virtual machine. Okay, so my entire packets are going via the base OS. Okay, this is my base OS Windows. So Ethernet is going via this particular network. Okay, so there might be virtual network card that is available for my machine. So if I want to see the virtual Ethernet card, so yes, I have a Ethernet card in hardware that is over here. It is bridged. Okay, so this is what you have to do. So I don't have done any kind of physical connection. मैंने कोई भी physical connection इस virtual machine के साथ नहीं किया, और neither I had set any IP. Okay, I directly plugged in and it was playing. Okay, so let us find out how that IP is assigned and what is my IP. Okay, on my network card. So in order to see the IP and my network card, I will be executing the command I call as a IPA. So many people might be familiar with ifconfig. Okay, so if I see ifconfig command config, because we are habituated of typing the tab. Okay, so this command is not installed on my particular machine. Okay, so this command has been changed in this latest version, and if I want to install, then I have to execute this particular command. If you still want to execute with ifconfig, okay, so you will going with the net tool. So we are going to discuss about the packages also, how the packages are get installed, okay, in the next few minutes. Okay, so first I will need to verify which is my network card and what is the IP that is assigned. Okay, so you can see if I type IPA, similarly it is log in ifconfig. So if I type IPA, I will be getting LO, I will be getting ENS 333. Okay, and also I get nothing, only two interfaces are there, one and this two. Okay, I hope that you might be aware what is LO. Okay, LO is a look backup IP. Okay, and by default the IP for that look backup is 127.0.0.1. Okay, so no need to be aware for experience. Okay, but if you see the IP that is allocated to me, okay, by the DHCP server, what is the IP that is allocated? It is init. It is 172.24.0.105. So this is the IP that is allocated automatically. I have not done anything because we are not here to. I have not done anything on the behalf of the networking. Just I had just plugged in and I had put the network on the bridge. Automatically, I got the IP. Okay, but believe me, friends, this is not a way of configuring. If you want to learn the something, this is not a way. Easiest way is never suitable. Easily, jo available hai wo sikho mat. If anything goes wrong, then we will not be able to sort out any issues. Okay, is it clear? And if you see in this particular operating system, I'm talking about this particular operating system, you can see some three dots are over. It is just like a network. So if you want to configure the IP, you just go and click. This is a GUI mode. Okay, it is very easy. It's just like a Windows. You can just go and drag, or you can just click on this. Okay, and you can set the IPs. Okay, so it is taking bit time. Okay, so you can see that I had only the GUI mode, and if it is connected, and if I want to change the IP, I will just click on the settings. Okay, you can find out the IP that is allocated. Okay, it is 170.24.0.5, and the router on the gateway that is available, it is 170. And the DNS. So if I want to set the IPs, I will go. If it is automatic, that if you want to go for the DSCP, then it will go. If I want to go for manual, then I will type the IPs over here. Okay, I will type the IPs over. Is it clear? And then I will save it. If I type the IP, I will get one apply button over here. And the apply button automatically green over there. And if I apply it, this is the way to set the IPs. The very simplest way. But I know that you are not here to learn this. Everybody is aware that IP kaisa set karna hai. It's just like in Windows. Okay. Is it clear? So at the same time, how to set the IP, and then how to, if there is any kind of issues, then how to debug that issues. I will be telling you everything. Okay. So first command, in order to see the IP, in order to see the interface, is IP-A. Now it is very much messed up. So if you want to just want to see the brief, if you want to see the brief, this is the command to find out the brief of that interfaces. So yes, we have two interfaces, LO and the ENS. That is the name of the interface. Previously it was ETH0, ETH1. Nowadays it is ENS33 and all this. Okay. So L is the look backup, and what is IP? This is this, and this is the IPv6 format for particular IPs. Okay. So we'll discuss, if I get a time, I will also discuss IPv6. Okay. But right now, this is the way. Okay. So internet is working over here. Everything is working, even if configure is not working. Okay. Now suppose if I want to set the IP. I want to set the IP through the graphical user. We had seen that. Now I have to set the IP via command line. Okay. If I want to set IP via command line. Okay. So you can just put this command and you can have the IP. Okay. So I will put IP. Okay. Address or ADRE address add. Okay, this is the syntax to enter the IP or to assign the IP to the interface. Okay, so IP addresses, address add. What are IP you want to add? If you want to add 10.0.0.1, okay, then you have to add. But to which device? You have to mention the name of the device. The name of the device is, in our case, it is ENS33. Okay, in your case might be different. Everybody has a different name for their NIC card. So the name for my particular NIC card is ENS33. Okay, so operation is not permitted. Why? The reason is a normal user cannot do this. Normal user cannot implement you cannot change the IP. So we require a pseudo user. Okay, yes. So the command is executed, and if I see the IP in a brief, so IP is added along with this. Can you see? This is the IP. In the previous case, that IP was not there. Yes, now the recent IP has been added. Okay, so now if you want to completely change this, because see, now I don't want to disconnect my internet on this machine. Okay, that's why I am putting it is also called as alliancing. Okay, it is just adding. Okay, if you want to add, then you can add. Or if you want to see the manual, I know that man command is there for IP. You can just go and refer it, how to add it, how to remove it, how to leave it. Okay. So for today's practical, today's session is considered, I will be just assigning the IPs on the different interface via different means. First, we had seen the GUI mode. Then we had seen with the command line. Okay. So here we can add a net mask also. You know, address and net mask and all these things. Okay. So depending on your requirement, you can keep on adding these things. Okay. So if I want to see the IP, then you can see the IP with the same command. Okay. So two links are established. One is 192.24.0.5 and then second is this. Okay. Okay. So now, but what about the net mask, then default gateway and the DNS? Because we know that whenever we set the IP, we had seen over here. Okay, if I go to the wire connection, I require minimum 5 things. Okay, these are the minimum 5 things that is required. Okay, so if you can see, sorry, IPv4. So these are the 5 things that are essential. Not essential. Out of these 2 are 3. Only 2 are required. That is address and net mask, and gateway and DNS is optional. Okay, even we require a router also, where from where it can route. Okay, so we can also put this with the help of command line. With the help of command line. So if I want to put a router, so I will put, if I want to put a routing address for route, so I'll put sudo IP route add and the add default via any IP. If you want to set an IP. Okay, so this is the way that we had set the route from default to from which router I can send my traffic. Okay, so this can be my gateway. Okay, so let us see whether it is implemented or not. IP route show. Okay, so yes, default via 10.0.0.1. So this is the IP that is set for the device ENS double. Okay, is it clear? Can anyone tell me what is this IP? ये तो मैंने IP assigned नहीं किया. 169.254. This IP is not been assigned. I had only assigned 2 IP. This is with the help of DSCP for my internet. And recently I had applied, I had executed this command to assign the IP at 10.0.0.1. Can anybody answer this IP? 169.254.0.0. Okay, this is a IP that has been assigned. Okay, so by default, when anything goes wrong, that means if the IP is not able to, if I'm not able to get the IP, okay. So if DSCP server is not available, I mean manual and automatic dal diya, the DSCP server is not available. Okay, by default, I can assign my own IP. Okay, as you know that we can assign the name to ourselves. Okay, I don't like Gautam, so I can assign one more name to me. Okay, so this is apart from the loop backup IP, this is the IP is assigned to the machine if the DSCP server is not available. It is of 169 dot this range. Okay, so this is how we set the IP. Now we will see the troubleshooting. Okay. Troubleshooting. Okay. Now the IPs are not working on my machine. Okay. Some of the IPs are not working. I will change the IPs. Okay. I will delete this. I have deleted that. Yes. Okay. Still it is deleted. It is active. DSCP set over. Okay. So I will remove that. I will remove that from the network and then we can go ahead. remove connection profile. So that IP is removed. Okay, I don't have internet with me now. Okay, I only Windows settings, wired settings. So now we will manually change the IPs of each and every machine. Okay, so I removed that interface. That interface is not available, no longer available. Okay, if this is still available, I will also remove this also. Okay, so I don't have any internet. Can you see that there is a question mark? Yes, so I had removed all the interfaces. Okay, I don't have any interface right now on this particular machine. So if I go for IPA on this, you can see that still it is saying I had assigned 172.24.0.0, and if I ping google.com, so I am getting the IPs. Okay, I cannot remove the wires. If I remove the wire, my internet will go on. So I just practically, if you have connections, if you have offline, then you can clearly verify that if there is a question mark, it means that IP is not assigned. There is no interface, but because of this virtual machine, I am getting the internet. Okay, so this is the thing that is what happening over here right now. Okay, so but believe this is if you do find such kind of things or such kind of scenario on your this, so you can set any IPs. Okay, so right now I will set the IPs. Okay, so as I said, IP is used to add the IP addresses. Similarly, those who are familiar with ifconfig, we can go with this ifconfig command also. You just have to install a network tool. Okay, in this particular operating system था, इसमें ifconfig नहीं काम करता है. You can see that ifconfig doesn't work. Ifconfig doesn't work, sorry. It asked me to install this. So I had done the installation of network tools in my operating system, and that's why ifconfig is available. So if you execute this command, it will show in a much better manner as compared to IP. Okay, so this is the IP that has been set. ENS 172.24.0.10. Okay. So now based on this command, okay, if those are familiar, even I am familiar with ifconfig, I will be executing the IP. I will be executing this command to change the IP. Okay. So this is the IP that I received from the DHCP server through my router. It is 172.24.0.1. Oh, sorry, 0.10. So now we will change the IP manually first. Okay, through command line. So ifconfig, put the name of the device ENS33. Okay, and the IP. What IP I want? I want 192.168.0.1. Okay, I want a net mask as 255.255.255.0 and execute. Not permitted because I am in the normal user. If you write with the super user, write sudo command, you write a password, and the IP is assigned. If you want to verify, yes, you can verify. The IP has been changed now here. Okay, पहले condition में क्या हो रहा था? Add हो रहा था. Now suppose if I ping Google, okay, we should not get this. I should not get any kind of reply as the IP is changed from DHCP to the another IP. Okay, so here you are getting the error. Okay, as the IP is been changed to this, your net mask is also changed. Yes, isn't it? So if you want to again see the command, instead of 190.168.0.1, I will be typing 170.192.168.10. Depending on my requirement, I can type the IP. Okay, so I don't like 192. I will write 172.0.1. Okay, and then I will change the net mask according to the IPs and see. Yes, the IP is assigned. If I want to ping it, 172.14.0.1. Yes, the IP is able to ping. Yes, so this is the way to assign the IP. Okay, but here is one trick. The IP that has been assigned will be temporary. Okay, the IP that has been assigned via ifconfig command will be temporary. Temporary means as soon as I restart this machine, your IP will be vanished and I will get the IP from the DHCP server. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, so I will be getting the IP on the temporary basis with the help of ifconfig. Okay, so what is the permanent way? The permanent way is to edit the file. Okay, is to edit the file for assigning the IP. If I want to assign the IP, I need to assign it via the via different files. Okay, is it clear? Should I go ahead? Okay, fine. So I hope that everything is clear. How to configure the IP manually, then with the GUI, now with the file driven. That means how I can set up file. Okay. So this file is programmed instead of shell script. It is not gone with a shell script. It is executed in a XML. Okay. So extension for that particular file will be .xml. Okay. So first let us note down what is the IP that is assigned. The IP that is assigned to this particular machine is 172.14.0.1. Okay. Is 170.14.0.1. My internet is not working on this particular machine. Yes, as the IP that is required is of range 192.172.24.0. something. So my internet is not working on this particular machine because the IP that is assigned is different as compared to the router. Okay, fine. So if I want to edit the this manually, okay, so I should go to cd/etc/network direct. cd/network. Sorry, not on network. It is cd/etc net plan. Okay. So in this net plan, we can edit the file. We can find out. In this net file, you can find out the file of XML. Okay. You can find out this form in the XML format. Okay. So actually, if you want to see the original file, if you go to the next operating system, I have edited that file. Okay. If you want to see, it is in net plan. Then you can find out the XML file. Yeah. So if you find this XML, you will be seeing the file in this particular format. Okay. It's a YML format. Okay. I hope that you might be knowing the syntax of YML. Okay. This is divided into two parts. First with colon and then after the colon. Okay. So I don't want to teach the programming language to you, but it is in the XML format. This is a name and this is the attribute. That's what we are passing. Just hold on. Okay. So as we have exams for direct secondary and CC, so I got calls because of that. Okay. So fine. So this will be by default. Okay. So this is the file that what we have. This will by default. You can edit this file in the YML language. Okay. So moving to the next operating system. So if I open this file on my laptop for my VM, it will be in this particular form in the network YAML. Okay, so I had edited this. Okay, so on the previous file you can find out only these first 3 lines. Okay, so based on your requirement you can edit, and this is the syntax, and YML language goes for the indentation. So write down the indentation very properly. Don't mess up the things. The code should be written in the same indentation. Okay, so first we'll verify this thing because we had seen that I will be assigning the IP with the help of DHCP. Okay, so here you can see if I open the new terminal. Okay, so here you can see the IP for my machine is on. Manually I had assigned this IP. It is 170.14.0.1. Okay, so now with the help of file I am assigning the IP. So I am going with the DHCP. I write this contents as a DHCP. So first IPv4 version, which version you have to go for which network, on what Ethernet card. Okay, so if you want to check all these things, if you want to verify all these things, you can execute this particular command in order to find out the what are the hardware that is available with me, what is the name of the hardware. Okay, so if I write okay, so if I write this command sudo ls, that is list the hardware, and the class is a network, you will get the entire information of the devices that are available on your machine, on your laptop or on your machine. Okay, so you can see the logical name is this ENS33. We are going with the same name. Then is the description is interface. Okay, the product is this, who is the vendor, and every detail of that particular hardware will be available to you. Okay, for the network. So command to see the list to hardware of the class network. Even also I will get the what? Even I will get a MAC address of this particular machine with the help of this particular command. Okay. So I had selected network, vendors, this, and I had typed what? DHCP as yes. Okay. So I had executed. I required now DHCP. So my if config command में मैंने जो IP डाला था, it should vanish, and I should get the DHCP server. I should get the IP from the DHCP server, and my internet should work. Okay. So let us save this file. Okay. Sorry, I had opened this in the non-sudo format. That means it has a privilege only to the super user. Okay. Yes. So now I had edited the file. Okay, I had edited the file. So now whatever the changes I have done, it is on the hard disk. It has not been reflected into the RAM. Yes. So in order to reflect into the RAM, I should execute this particular command: sudo netplan apply. Sudo netplan apply. Is it clear? Sudo netplan apply. So if I check the IP now, it will be getting it from the DHCP. So in order to verify, just first ping it. Yeah, is it working? Yes. So if I check the IP, it has been changed. It is through DHCP. It is 172.24.0.110. Okay. So now that file is coming into the picture for assigning the IPs. Now that file is coming into the picture in order to assign the IPs. Okay, we'll verify. I don't know. There won't be some. Okay, so if I write DHCP equals to no. Okay, and I save it. Okay, so if it is whatever the changes I have done, it will be on the hard disk. If you want to reflect in the RAM, I need to execute this command. The command is executed, and if I write to ping Google, it is giving me the unknown host name. Why? Because right now I don't have the internet with me. Okay, in order to verify, you can verify. है ना? The IP. है ना? I told you that 169.24.20.0.0 will IP will be assigned. So this is the default IP that has been assigned if he doesn't find the DSCP server. है ना? ये IP बोला था मैंने. So that's why Linux is very beautiful. You can play with the files and you can execute the command as per your requirement. Okay. Is it clear? Okay. So moving back to the file, same file. It is sudo dot. It is 01 network manager dash all dot YAML. Okay. So now I don't want DSCP. I want addresses to be assigned through the file. Okay. I want the addresses to be assigned through the file. So I am assigning now 192.168.2.10. Fine. I want this IP to be assigned to my machine via this file. So I had done the editing. So I had added this. Okay. Why I had done this now? Because I thought there is a problem of indentation. Okay. So if you skip the indentation, it will not work. Okay. That's why I had pre-written this code. You can take a snapshot of this predefined code and you can execute. Okay, if you're good in programming, then definitely if you know the YML tags properly, then you can write it any code. Okay, so I had assigned one IP 192.168.0.1, sorry 210. Let us see whether it is reflected or not. If config, it is taking 169.254.29.241. Yes, anybody, what is the reason? The IP is not being changed. I will wait for your chat. Let me have a water. So the IP is still this. I had changed. You can verify that the IP has been changed or not. You can see that yes, IP is saved. It has been saved. But if I see the if config, I'm not getting the IP that what I had executed. Can anybody chat so that let us understand what is the reason that the IP is not been assigned? The IP that 192.168.0. is not been assigned. Yes. Yes, Mr. Sambhaji, you will get the attendance sheet. Don't worry. Please answer in the chat. What is the reason that IP has not been assigned? Is anybody chat trying to put the comments in the chat? I'm audible, no?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is that I'm not getting any answers on the chat also.
Very much audible.
Okay. Yes, anybody who is attentive and not able to, why though the IP is assigned, the file is saved, instead of getting 192.168.0.210, I am getting 169.254.29.241 as an IP. It should be reflected, no? It should be changed. No? Okay. The thing is that I had done the changes in the hard disk, but I had not reflected that changes in the hard disk. Okay. So I need to restart that file again. It should be reread by the RAM. I should put the new concept of the file into the RAM. So for that, I need to execute this netplan command. And I said it is an indentation will be there. So now this file is been reading. So now I have to verify again and again. now. Mhm. Oh, sorry. Yes, है ना? Indentation was the issue, so it has been done. Okay, so now if I verify whether the IP is assigned or not, yes, the IP that what I had implemented on that particular machine is achieved. So I got 192.168.0.210. Okay, that means this IP which I am getting, it is reflected through that file. Okay, so next let us change the MAC address, not MAC address. Let us change the netmask, gateway, and all these things. Okay, so I will be doing all these things. So I put gateway as 190.168.0.1. I had assigned the name server. It is 8.8.8.8. You can assign any. Okay, I had saved it and I can reapply it. Okay, so again the problem is of indentation. Let us verify the issue. Yeah, this is the issue. There should not be any spaces. Yeah. We have some issue. Here, don't use tab. When we are going for XML, don't use tab. Tab will not work. You just have to go with the space bar. Yeah, now next is the name server. Huh? Are you getting one by one error we are sorting out? Don't use tab. Yes, so things are executed properly. So we the name server is also assigned, and if you verify if config, so IP has been changed. Okay, so now next question is arises where is the information of name server is going? Where is the information of name server is going? Okay, so information of name server we can find out in this particular file. You can write down the information of name server in this file also. Same as Red Hat 9 and all these things. Comfort resolve.conf. Okay, so you can find out the name server option here also. If you write name server over here as 8.8.8, it will also work. Okay. So right now, if I write ping google.com, will it work or not? Ping google.com, will it work? It will not work because it is taking the 190.160.0.210. Okay, so it will not work. So let us check whether the IP that what I had assigned is I am able to ping it or not. 192.168.0.210. Yes, I am able to ping it. Okay, so this is how we set the IP. Okay, now one thing that I would like to take, how could I set the SSH for it? Okay, so by default SSH will not be available on your machine. Okay, so if it is Ubuntu, so by default SSH will not be available. This is a machine which I don't have SSH. Okay, so if I type SSH is not available. Okay, I cannot execute this command. Okay, So in order to have SSH, you can download it open source or open SSH. Once you download the open SSH, the system will work. Okay. So in order to restart the SSH, you just have to type system. Please help me. How much time is left? Systemctl. Okay. Systemctl. Sudo systemctl. Once I download the SSH, after downloading SSH, you don't have to do anything. SSH is a tool, or it's a daemon. It is used to get a remote access of any machine. Okay. So first I have assigned the I had downloaded the SSH. Now next part we will going to how to manage the packets or packages. Okay. So I will be going to that also. So how to restart that? I said that I had downloaded it, but I have to put the thing that is downloaded is on my hard disk. Suppose if I want to from the hard disk, if I want to put in the RAM, I have to execute this command. Okay. Systemctl restart and SSH. Okay. SSH. Oh, sorry. SSH dot services. Systemctl. Let me verify whether I have SSH or not first. That is installed. Okay. I don't know why it is not able to restart. So we have to verify that. Okay. So let us first go with the SSH. So if I normally want to go with the SSH, okay. So I just want to type the IP SSH. What is the IP for my machine? If config, my IP is 192.168.0.210. Okay. The connection is refused. Okay. The connection might be refused because of many reasons. Because I may be working on might be my that SSH is not running, it is not active. Okay, so we can check the status whether it's active or not by typing systemctl status SSHD. Yes, it is failed. Okay, so let us restart this. I don't know why it is not restarting. Systemctl has this. Okay, so let me first verify. Let me verify on this machine. What is the IP? Is SSH 172.24.0.105. Okay, the connection is refused. The connection might be refused because I had not started the services. So let us check the service. It is sudo systemctl SSH. Okay, systemctl SSHD is not found. Okay, so let us restart it. So the thing is that this open SSH is not available. Okay, so if it is not available, I can just install it. The next topic that what we are going to discuss, how to install the packages. Okay, provided that you should have internet working on your machine. Let us verify if internet is working on my machine or not, because I will be downloading it from the net. So I require the internet on my machine. I don't know what happened now. This I'm able to ping to the machine. Yeah. This IP is this 192.168. I think I had removed a lot of connections now. So that might be the issue. Let me verify. Yeah. I required internet, otherwise it will not work. I'm on talking about a VM. It will not work here also because the thing is that we have to put in the DSCP. Okay. So I will again verify that file. Okay. So instead of this, I require this audio. And we will be applying to reread that particular file. Next time apply. Okay. So I got google.conf. Yeah. So I have internet. Okay. So let us first check how to install the package of SSH so that it should work on my machine. Okay. So to install any by the command line, you just type apt sudo apt install SSH. Okay. So this is a very simplest way of installing any package. Okay, it is saying that unable to locate package D. So I will write open SSH net star mark. Okay. So this is another way. If I don't know, if I don't remember the exact name. Okay. If I don't remember the exact name, I will just type the name and the things will be get installed. Okay. So this is how to install the packages on the machine. So this is the fastest way. But what is the drawback of this? The drawback of this is it will go anywhere. You know, whatever the things are installed, I don't know where that files are going. So I don't have any control. What are the files are being getting installed and from which resources I am getting the files. I am also not sure about that. Okay. So we have a repository. Based on that repository, it will go. So sometimes what will happen, as if I'm setting a server, okay, if I'm setting a server, this there might be a what there can be some spam files along with this package. So that will be already installed on my laptop. Okay. So if I make a server, so you know that some of the spams will be coming on my laptop, and then right from the beginning only my laptop is vulnerable to all kind of attacks because of downloading the systems packages from the net. Okay, I just use this. Okay, this is the very easiest way to download anything. Okay, I downloaded. I don't know where it is being installed. So I don't have any control on this particular thing. So let us verify now whether my SSH is working or not by executing the restart that SSH Yes, now SSH services is available. Okay, it is failed. So let us restart it. Okay. Restart. I don't understand system. You know, this is what happens when we go for live. Okay. SSH failed because the control process executed with the error code. See system status. Just a minute. Just a minute. I don't know what is going wrong. Otherwise, this should have worked. Okay. So you know, this is what the things happens when it is a live session. Till morning, it was working fine. So let me restore my snapshot. Okay. For this particular machine, I've taken the snapshot. Okay. If I restore the snapshot, everything will be fine. Just give me 2 minutes of time. Okay, this is the beauty of VMware. We can have a backup of previous stage of my VM. So I hope that the things are clear how to install the package. Okay, so this is the next topic that we are going to start after networking. How to install the packages on the remote on the machines. Okay, so let us first verify that whether I'm whether I'm able to ping the machine or not. Google.com, yes, it is working. Okay, now let us check SSH. I will first verify what is my IP. My IP is 172.24.0.10. SSH 172.24.0.110. Connection refused. Okay, so this might be because of reason. Okay, so let us first verify. Sudo system CTL status of SSH. Yes, it is available on this SSH key. I don't understand why it is being failed. So, okay, so we'll verify this. It's a very good example for troubleshooting. So in order to do the troubleshooting, we'll be going to this file, etc SSH, okay, and then SSH config. First we'll see this, why it is not working. Okay, so we are into this file and then we'll see the configuration file. Okay, so this is the configuration file for setting up the SSH. Okay. So protocol is this. Everything is fine. Protocol number 22. It is listening on that. Let us see another slide for configuration. Yeah. See what was the error? You can see the port number which I had assigned is 282. Okay. So I should verify. By default, the port number for SSH is 22, right? So it should go with 22, and I had also mentioned on which port it should listen. So it should only listen to 192.168.0.10. So, but my IP was totally different. So if I change this, actually we should be a super user to do any kind of changes on this. Sudo and change the port number, and it should listen on particular this IP. Okay, so let us restart this. Yeah, it is working fine. Okay, so now you got the things. So I can work with SSH. If config, if I say SSH 172.24.0.110, yes, I am able to configure the SSH for this particular IP. Okay, so we had done the troubleshooting of SSH also. So this is the way that what you can verify. Okay, now suppose if you want to verify whether my SSH is working properly or not, I will go to the Windows machine. Okay, so here I will type PuTTY. PuTTY is a tool that is available to get access of a remote machine. Okay, so I hope you remember what is IP. Just type the IP 172.24.0.110. Sorry, and the port number is 22. Yes, yes. So very easily I am able to connect the server via SSH. Okay, so here I can get a remote access of my machine. Okay, via SSH or via PuTTY. Is it clear? Okay, so yes, I can work it out. Okay, so this is the way I had shown all the ways of troubleshooting for SSH. Okay, so let us recheck again what was the issue over there. Okay, so now we will work on this particular window only. Okay, let us see what happens if I do the changes on the server. Okay, so if I want to go and restrict the SSH, by default I know that my SSH works on the port number 22. So I don't like the port number 22. I want some unknown ports, or I want some another port that should be available for SSH. So yes, I can do that. How? You just go to the cd/etc. You go to SSH directory and type sudo, and you configure that file SSH d sudo/etc. Where is that configure file? Yeah, we have sudo vi SSH d _config. RAID. Caps lock was on. Okay, so you can see this. It is listening on the port number 22. So I will change, instead of port number 22, I like this port 282. Okay, and at the same time, it should listen on not to all the IPs. It should not listen to all the IPs. I will only assign 192.168.0.10 to be available for SSH. Okay, so this is I am putting the security for SSH. I had changed the port number. At the same time, I had verified or I had given the access to port number 192.168.0.10 only. No other IPs are able to access this. Is it clear? So let us save it. And I had done all the changes on the hard disk. I now want to reflect it on the RAM. So for this, you execute this command. Restart it. System CTL. Then start SSHD dot services. I think there is some changes that file is. I said no, it is some kind of indentation problem might be there. So I will recommend. Yes, it is executed. Okay. So now let us verify whether it works on the port number 22 or not. Okay, I'm writing the same port. IPs 172.24.0.10110. Okay, so I will not be getting the access. What is the reason? What is the reason? The reason is a port number. Okay, so this is how we can secure in many ways. So port numbers for SSH should be 282.172.24.0.110. Sorry, I had written the wrong IP. Port number is 282. The IP is 172.24.0.110. Right? Yes, can you see that I got the access? Okay. So this is the way that we can configure the SSH, and we can see how we can get the remote access. Okay. So you can work on the same on the command line also. Okay. So SSH, if I want to write a port number, is 282.192.168. Sorry, it is 172.24.0.110. Yes. Okay. This is on the command mode also we can get the SSH. So this is the basic of SSH. If you want to configure SSH properly, then please refer this file. Everything for the everything that is required for putting the restrictions is available in this particular file. In this particular file, that configuration file of SSH. And the configuration file for is so you can restrict as per the requirement. Okay, so there are many things you can go with without password, without with password. If you have to permit it without password, or if you want to go with the Kerberos authentication, everything can be configured on this particular file. Okay, is it clear? Yeah. Okay, so next last topic is remaining for I have only 20 minutes to cover up. Okay, so let us begin how to install the packages. Okay, so one way for installing the packages, I said that just install this, just go with this command sudo apt and install, and write down the name of the file. Okay, or name of the package that what you have to install. Just you write the name of the package that what you have to install. So this is a one way. But what happened because of this, I said that whatever the package that has been installed, I don't know where it is, where it will be going. Okay. So this is the one way of installing the package. You can write on these things and you can just execute. Okay. So nowadays we have a Debian packages also available on this particular platform of Ubuntu. So for Debian package, you can write dpkg Okay, but for installing any software, you require sudo. You should be a sudo super user. Okay, so suppose if I using this and I want to install Google Chrome. Google Chrome. Okay, so if I don't remember the package name, I will just put a star. Google Chrome is not available, so I can write the entire name of the package. CHROME Google Chrome stable. It always required a .db file, .deb. Current VMD 64. So this package is not available. Not available. It is available, but I am doing certain kind of mistakes. That's why the name. Okay. So we can install with the help of dpkg. Okay. So this is the one way. So it will be going and directly getting the packages from where it is installed. Okay. The question is that from where it is bringing all these packages. Okay. So what is the name of the package? Suppose if I have executed this command. Okay. Install apt install and sudo. Or it's not sudo, apt install and the name of the package. Okay. The concern is that from which file it is bringing all the repository. Okay, that has to be very much careful. If you have not set the repository properly, believe me, when if you are setting a server and if you execute this kind of, especially the teenager does this thing, they install by default everything. Okay, so every time we have to change the default policies. Don't go with the default policies. Okay, so the repository that what we have to change, we can put your own repository or you can generate your own repository. Nowadays we have a Git repository, so you can add a Git repository into it. Okay, it's very easy to add a repository. Just go to this file. Just go to the first directory /etc apt service list. Yeah, in this service list, so it's not service list, source list, you can find out the repository that is available for installing all the packages. Okay, so whenever I do this command, whenever I execute this command, so first it will verify the repository one by one. Okay, so first it will execute the deb command and it will try to bring out the repository from the ubuntu.com. Okay, so first repository. Second, it is uncommented. Okay, third repository. So there might be many repositories that are working. Okay, depending on the URL. So you can also add your own repository for installing the packages for your environment. Okay, just go and write the URL over here. It can be name or it can be IP based also. Don't worry about this. Okay, so from this particular file, you can find out the name of the repository or you can download all the things based on this repository. And whatever the repository that which I have, I don't have any other repository except ubuntu.com. Okay, so that is my trusted server for downloading the repository. You can see all these are the repository. Okay, so I can download it from it and I can directly install it. So dpk or apt, what does it? It downloads the packets and starts installing. Okay, so I don't have any control on this particular thing. Okay, I don't have any control for installing the packages. So if I want to have a control, so what you have to do, you just go and download any packages that is required. Okay, that is required. Just I had gone with this package. Okay, I want a Zoom to be installed on my machine. So I had gone to the Zoom website. I had downloaded this particular package. Okay, so let us see how it is. How does it get installed? It is already installed. Okay, so you just have to type /. I want to win that present working directory. Let us check on which directory I am, so that I should get that package. So yes, the Zoom is with me. So I will do what, as it is .db, I would press /. This is only the way to install install the package, or I should go with the so this is the way that we can download. I think some of the commands are not executing, but if I type this, I will get a zoom on my machine. Okay, so this is the zoom. I can work it out. Okay, but here also what is happening? There are certain packages that are there. If I go and see that zoom, what it will do? It will download the things. Okay, it will download the things, but at the same time, it will go for internet for getting the packets. Okay, so certain packets are required, certain library files are required. It will go to the internet and then it will bring the all the stuff from the internet. Okay, so so this is one of the another way, but best way what I always prefer. Okay, to download the things. Okay, to download the things. Suppose I had downloaded the VLC over here. I had downloaded the VLC. Okay, in the tar format. Okay, and it is on my any one of the directory where I required. I had untarred it. Okay, I had untarred it means I had extracted this file, and in that extracted file, I will install. So suppose after doing this, I got this. Okay, so this is the entire extracted files. Okay, so if anything goes wrong, everything will be on this particular directory only. सब कुछ इधर ही है. It will not go anywhere. Just like हमने we don't know where that SSH has gone. We don't know where the Zoom has gone. But regarding this VLC that what I had downloaded, the tar file. Okay, I had extracted in that particular directory itself. So if I remove this directory, everything will be gone. If I remove this directory by pressing rm-fr, my VLC, entire file of VLC will be gone. I don't have to uninstall it from anywhere else. So all the library files of that VLC which are required, it will be uninstalled. Okay, so this is the best way for applying the instance. So you can just go to the internet and download what are the package that is required. Okay, download the tar file that is required instead of pressing apt-get and all these things. Okay, it is only for the teenagers, those who want to only learn. Okay, so along with that, many other softwares are also coming up. Okay, as you can see that I just pressed star and then all the software that was over there, it was installed. Okay, so instead of doing these things, you better download that package. Okay, and once you download, there will be a configuration file that will be available on your machine. So we have a configuration file. Can you see this configuration file? Yes, so we have a configuration file. Okay, so keep on pressing the things. Okay, so /configure. So we'll get certain errors over here. What happened? Okay, sorry, I'm not into the directory of VLC. So /config. We'll get certain kind of errors. We'll see it and sort out the errors. Okay, so entire thing is being configured on that particular directory itself. It is not going to tamper any other files. कुछ भी नहीं होगा. Okay, so if you get an error, then we can sort it out very easily. Okay, what it says that the message is disabled. So minus disable A B C O D. Okay, so keep on repeating the things. Okay, so entire thing will be in that particular directory itself. It is not going to hamper my other softwares. लेकिन जब से मैंने dev app से वगैरह किया, so now next thing what he says, you have to disable this also. So disable -SWS. Okay, so it will be keep on doing. Okay, ultimately you can install the package. We'll stop here. It is already installed, so I will just type VLC, and you can see the VLC is running on my platform. Okay. So this is the way of installing the package. Okay. So we have one more way of installing the package using the GUI tool, or we can call as a Ubuntu Software Manager by the name GD EBI. It's not installed. Okay, so it is saying that you have to install that also. Okay. GD. So if I want to install, I first need to install this by typing this command. But on the server side, don't execute such kind of commands. ये कभी मत करो ऐसा. Always first download either .gz file or tar file. Okay. So it will start installing. So this is another way for installing the packages also. I will say this is a software manager for the Ubuntu. So by the time it gets installed, if you have any doubts, we can raise the questions. Okay. So that's all about for today's session.
Sir, one participant has raised a question.
Yeah.
How,
What is the
how to
question,
how to configure multiple IP addresses on the server machine with more than one interface?
More than one interface. The same
Yeah.
way. See what happens if I have this IPs. Okay, I know that I have one interface right now. Okay, so if I add one more device or one more interface to it, so what will happen? The device name will be changed. Okay, so if the device name is changed, so I have two interfaces. Okay, so if I have the two interfaces, I will add IP, or I will go with that if config method. If config, I will write the device name. Suppose if instead of this ENS33, it will be ENS44. Then I will keep on adding that configuration. So based on the name of the device, we can add on the, if you have more than two interfaces, then we'll add the IPs based on that. I hope that it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Any other question for participant? Please put in the chat box. Yes. How to download a file on the command line via internet?
How to download the?
How to download a file on the command line via internet?
You can go with the get command or wget commands are there. Wget, and you can write on the name of that URL from where you have to download. Suppose if it is HTTP, so all the things are also, you can go with this wget command also for installing. Once, so what will happen? The package will be downloaded and then it will be installed. Okay, this is the thing that what you are looking for, right?
Yes.
Any other questions?
Any other question?
Okay, so that's about for the today's session. We have now no doubts and we can wind up.
Participants, if any other questions are there, please put in the chat box. See, the link for the attendance cum feedback form for the day 1 session 3 is there in the chat box. Please kindly fill the form before 5 p.m. Afterwards, the link will be disabled. Sir, one more question.
Yeah.
How to stop inbound and outbound services?
Means it is a concept of a firewall. Okay, so if you want to learn that, you have to configure the firewall and then you have to place. Okay, so we are not going to that detail inbound and outbound. Okay, but with the help of firewall, you can, with the help of IP tables, you can bind the packets. Okay.
Another
for today's
question.
session, yeah, we are not going with that IP tables.
How to sign a document with a digital signature using command?
Using command. What is the requirement of these things? Okay, so see, everything is possible. The thing is that I am not aware of this question. Okay, so if you can search it and you can find it, because see, I'm only interested in means digital signature. Are you talking about the CA certifications that what you're talking about, the signature that what we put? The signature that has been issued by the CAs. Okay, that when the protocol is coming on HTTPS. Okay, so yes, we can add the certificates if you want. Digital certificates also added with the help of command line. But I don't think this is the scope of this session. Definitely we can add. So there is signature based, the signature that is been issued by the CS, we download that CS and with the help of command line, we can execute that. This is, I think, the CA certificate you are talking about. The certificate that is issued by the CS. Signature authorities, right?
Yes, he's saying okay, sir.
I think Mahendra had dropped a message also regarding that in the chat link. So in the thing is that in Linux, everything is possible. If the thing is not possible means I don't know that. Everything, whatever you think, it is possible. You can design the operating system as per your requirement. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. That's all about for the today's session.
Check.
We
Check.
tried
Check.
to cover up
I
at least the
think there are
basic thing.
no more questions. No.
Yeah, Dipali ma'am,
Okay.
go ahead.
Jagruti ma'am, I think, yeah, there are no more questions, I think. So
Yes.
thank you, Jagruti ma'am. And on behalf of Father Conceição Rodrigues College of Engineering, I would like to thank Dr. Gautam Borkar for sharing his knowledge and experience with all of us. I must say he has touched upon every aspect of networking in spite of a time limit. And sir very nicely demonstrated all the networking concept, also installing the packages. So sir, I must say session was really very interesting and informative. Hope participants will definitely benefit from this session. And looking forward to many such future associations with you, sir. So once again, thank you from all of us for sharing your knowledge.
Thank
So
you, ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, all the participants.
Thank you. Okay.
So participant kindly fill the feedback form and attendance form, feedback and attendance form before 5 p.m. And tomorrow session will start at 9, morning 9 a.m.
So, ma'am, should I leave?
So,
I'm stopping the sharing.
yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It was
So
very
that's-
nice interactive session. Okay. All the best for your next day sessions. And keep on
Thank you, sir.
interacting. If any queries are there, I will share my number. If you have any queries, you can put a message.
Yes,
or
sir.
you can
We will. Yeah, we can
Share.
share. You can share your number or email ID, sir, with participants if you wish.
I will just drop my email. Gautam Borkar @c.in. My phone number is 937-028-7790. And for WhatsApp, 98198. So I had dropped my personal number as well as my WhatsApp number. It's 937-028-7790. And WhatsApp number is 981998779. Right. So if you have any queries regarding anything regarding networking and security, I will help you out.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you, participant. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That's all for the day, participants.